Take us there.
This is ESBR Boxing, and I'm delighted to be joined by my esteemed colleague, Elliot Grigg. Elliot, as much as I like seeing you, I didn't want to see you today regarding this video. It has to be said, of course, we're reacting to the news that boxing fans are seeing on Twitter and social media this morning that it seems that Fury Usyk is not happening. Obviously, it was meant to be happening. It was rumored to be happening on April 29th, and now it's all but confirmed by Usyk's manager and promoter that the fight will not be happening. Just quickly, if I throw it over to you, Elliot, what are your initial thoughts? Are you angry, upset, or did you know this wasn't going to happen?
Well, I'm smirking, but I'm not happy. And like it's again, like we weren't planning on speaking to each other today, and it's lovely to speak to you in sad under circumstances. I think we talked about on ESPR videos, myself, yourself, other people that certain people saying that it would happen, certain people saying it wouldn't happen. My initial reaction when it was first in the ring, ringside, when Fury beat Chisora, that it would happen. This fight would happen, and it would happen next. It would happen front end of this year. That was my initial reaction. But then when the stuff about the elbow injury and some of the stuff around and Fury, some stuff about negotiations, the longer it went on, the more I just think, no, this is not probably going to happen. And frankly, my initial reaction to this was that this is a clear duck from Tyson Fury. Frankly, I don't see it as any other way. Any other, we've looked on social media, haven't we? The stuff coming out of Usyk's camp. They've accepted, there's stuff about the 70-30, that's various other things and concessions that they've made. And it just seems that every time they go, yeah, right, we'll take these frankly ridiculous contract negotiations and financial negotiations, we'll accept those, and they still haven't managed to get it over the line. I just see this as being a duck from Tyson Fury, and my I suppose subsequent reaction to it is really that I don't want to hear anything from Tyson Fury. I don't want to see any videos about Usyk's a pussy online. I don't want to hear anything about being a puffed up middleweight and all that sort of nonsense. I don't want to hear anything until he signs to either fight him again or fight maybe Joshua. That's it. I don't want to see anything else other than that.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I echo your frustration. To be quite honest with you, I think I was looking forward to this fight, but there was something in the back of my mind just that was it ever going to happen? You see, recently it was I think Usyk called. I think is it fair to say Usyk called Fury's bluff with the whole yeah. Do you know what? I will accept the 70-30. You're trying to move the goalposts. I'm still going to accept all these ridiculous terms you're coming up with and adding to the contract day after day. Yeah, I'll accept it. I just want to fight, become the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. So I know you touched on it there, Elliot, but in your mind, is this entirely Tyson Fury's fault?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And initially, I was hoping, I think, like I suppose, like many of us were hoping that this was just a kind of Fury mind game / negotiation tactic, and that eventually they would sign and they would get it on. But yeah, you go 70-30. Obviously, that was in contention for a bit, and again, harsh. Frankly, I know Tyson Fury obviously does bring a sizable audience, but frankly, he brings one belt. So and Usyk, having beaten Joshua as well, has got a following. Maybe not the same sort of crossover casual following that Fury has. You accept that, you accept 70-30, you accept that you might even be fighting at Wembley. You might be fighting essentially away from home again. But look where we've seen Usyk go. We've seen Usyk fight numerous champions away from home, prevail, win. He's been on the road. Like, you just look at the personalities of both guys, how like essentially like whilst being sort of playful, Usyk is also serious and also tends to, be sort of business minded and also honourable when it comes to the craft. We've seen Fury. Now, I've stuck up for Fury a lot, obviously the problems he's had as well. But we've seen him pull out of fights. We've seen him talk a lot of nonsense, essentially, about a lot of different things. We've seen him retire. We've seen him unretire. We've seen him donate purses to people that then it's been revealed that he potentially hasn't donated those purses to people. So yeah, I see this again as just completely Tyson Fury's fault. Frankly, I do see 100% Tyson Fury's fault, and I don't know. I don't know what the reasons for it are, Paul. I mean, maybe talk about those reasons are, whether it's a motivation factor, whether it's I don't know, whether it's just I don't know. I can't get my head around it. Frankly, I think it's legacy damaging for Fury, both in the short term now and long term. This is a false step and a wrong move.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it looked like the contract negotiations were going well. Obviously, Usyk accepting the 70-30 as harsh as that may have been, and I agree with you on that. But then obviously I think didn't the tweet from Usyk's manager said something about it was to do with the agreement for the rematch or something. So like obviously we don't know the intricate details of that, but you can imagine that. Well, first and foremost, why does there always have to be a rematch clause now in fights? But that's another topic of conversation for another day. But to me, that's like, if Fury's asking for 70-30 in this fight, he's probably asking for something ridiculous in the rematch as well. Say even the first fight had gone ahead, and for argument's sake, Usyk had won. Fury in the second fight, we wouldn't put it past him just going off what he's been saying recently, that he would still be asking for 70-30 in his favor, even if he had lost. And you know what? I think as much as we like Tyson Fury, and he's been on an incredible run since his return after the absence, the three Wilder fights. We accept the White fight was kind of was mandatory, really. We accept we didn't want to see the Chisora fight, but we accepted if we were going to get the Usyk fight next, which we thought we were. But obviously that hasn't happened, so I completely agree with you. And this is entirely Tyson Fury's fault for me. Next question I wanted to ask you, Elliot, is see, obviously, I think from an Usyk perspective, he'll want to get out still, as soon as possible. Maybe face one of his mandatories for the three belts. Now, if we're saying that Fury Usyk is completely dead in the water, who are some potential opponents, or who would you like to see Usyk fight next? Maybe in June, July time, if he is going to fight, because I think it's clear that Usyk still wants to fight and solidify himself as one of the best heavyweights in the world, if not the best. Who do you think he should fight next?
It's a very good question. Very good question. And so I was looking at his mandatories. I think his mandatories are Dubois, aren't they? Hergovich and Joyce, I believe. Frankly, I'd like to see him fight Joyce. I think that's a hell of a fight. I think he beats Hergovich and Dubois, frankly, fairly handily. But Joyce is a tough night, frankly. And I think, like, obviously, style wise, you'd expect. I can't believe I'm saying it, but style wise, you'd expect him just to keep coming. Do I think Usyk would stop Joyce? No. So essentially, obviously, he could outbox him, but it's a tough night for him, and I'd actually quite like to see that fight. That's the one I'd look at. There was also talk potentially, I suppose, on there at one point, I don't know how serious this is, but of him potentially facing someone like Wilder. I'd love to see that. I would absolutely love to see him fight Wilder. But if out of his mandatories, I'd like to see him fight Joyce. But equally, I think in a way, he's kind of earned the right to kind of go where he wants to go with it. But I think from a legacy perspective, I think Joyce would be a better one, better notch on the record, as it were, than Dubois or Herkovich, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I'd love to see Joyce next for Usyk. Obviously, Joyce fights in a couple of weeks against Zhang, and I expect him to come through that. It's interesting you say Wilder. Obviously, Wilder doesn't have a fight lined up. It had been rumored he was fighting Andy Ruiz, but that hasn't seemed to gather. That's kind of stalled for the minute. Imagine we logged on to Twitter next week and we saw Usyk Wilder was announced. That would be incredible. Um, but yeah, I want to see the Joyce one out of all of those that you've mentioned, but I could probably see it being Dubois, if
Mm.
I'm honest. Not that I want to see that fight. I think Usyk deals with Dubois handily, but obviously Dubois is a WBA regular champion, I suppose, and Usyk holds the WBA super belt. So that fight, from a business point of view, I think makes sense. Obviously, we've seen Shane McGuigan, Dubois' trainer, saying that they'd be up for that fight. And I tip my hat to Daniel Dubois if he does take that fight. Do I think he has any chance of winning? No, but I think with Joyce, I almost think it's more chance of Joyce fighting Fury. Fury has said a few times that he would like to give Joyce the opportunity and he deserves it, and he would give him anybody a tough night's work. The whole fact that they're both BT Sport Queensbury fighters, Frank Warren fighters, I think that would be easy to make. Well, maybe not, depending on Fury's demands. He might be demanding 95-5 split for that fight. Um, but in all seriousness, yeah, I think I just want to see, now that this Usyk Fury fight isn't happening, I'd like to see Fury fight Joe Joyce, and I'd like to see Usyk. I mean, in an ideal world, I'd like to see Usyk fight Wilder or whatever, but I feel it could be Dubois. And you know what? I think that, I mean, it's not an easy fight, but if you look at Usyk's fights when he became undisputed cruiserweight champion, fighting everyone in their backyard, fighting Joshua in his backyard, and then over obviously in Saudi as well, I just think that. I think the Dubois one for me probably makes sense commercially next.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think yeah, that's very, very apt and completely comprehensive summary. And I think I actually agree with you. I do think it probably will fight Dubois next, but I just think we've not seen enough from Dubois, frankly. I don't think he's been bred enough into being anywhere near ready to fight someone of USYK's caliber. Obviously, you know, the fight he had against Joyce, he got injured, fair enough. Don't criticize him for that. They're both, you know, I suppose, um, not inexperienced, but you know, their records weren't exactly as full as they are now necessarily going into that. But I just don't think Dubois is ready. But it's equally, I think that probably will be the fight, and I think it's still a credible victory up at heavyweight given the size of Dubois in comparison to what will be the size of USYK. So yeah, I can perfectly see that. And again, I just think Fury. I think Fury will beat Joyce. Frankly, I think he's got the engine essentially to go 12 rounds, 15 rounds, whatever. I think he won't get stopped, so I'll outpoint him. And to be honest, the sad thing is, Paul, and I'll leave us potentially with this, but the sad thing about it is I actually think Fury would beat USYK as well. So I can't really understand why he's being so reluctant to do so. I think he's got all the physical advantages, the size, the power we've seen with him stopping Wilder, etc. as well to beat USYK. I don't see how USYK beats him given the size disparity. So it shocks me. It shocks me and saddens me to see him. Frankly, I'll say it again. Strong language. I'm gonna say it again. Duck the fight in the way that he is doing so.
Yeah, I don't think there's really much more we can say. To be honest with you, I think we're just both visibly disappointed, as is the whole boxing world. I'm sure frustrated that this fight isn't happening. Not much more we can say, but yeah, it seems Fury Usyk is completely dead in the water. Whether or not we see that fight later this year, next year, fingers crossed. But yeah, for now, April 29th is a no-go for Fury Usyk, and we're not seeing that fight, unfortunately. Thanks for hopping on short notice doing this reaction video, and yeah, I'll speak to you again soon. Hopefully previewing more fights that we're excited about and in a happier manner than this one.
No, likewise. Thank you guys for watching, and yeah, see you again, Paul, for the preview in what hopefully will be happier times.
All the best.